Chapter 28, Freelancing with a Chronic Illness. If you don't have a chronic illness, that's amazing. This chapter is also useful to healthy people to be even healthier. Welcome to my cautionary tale. Sit down, make yourself some tea, and gather around the fire. I was diagnosed with the autoimmune disease rheumatoid arthritis at the ripe old age of 27. It was January 2021, and I was about to embark on my 6-month road trip around the U.S. with a bunch of digital nomads in the depths of the pandemic. My condition happened to hurt me right in the areas I needed to do work every day, my fingers. My early symptoms were swelling in my finger joints and intense pain in my wrists. I swore it must be carpal tunnel, but it wasn't. My genetics and lifestyle at the time betrayed me, and I started treatment. If you suffer from any kind of disease, then you know that those first few months of treatment can be dicey. My hair was falling out with a drug they put me on that's usually prescribed to cancer patients, and I was dealing with intense nausea and dizziness. I had a hard time making it to the end of even an easy hike. My doctor at the time was only being semi-helpful, and I was having to fill in a lot of the gaps of this disease myself. I read books, worked with a nutritionist and personal trainer, threw out all my lifestyle habits, and became a sober vegan. I know, pretty rock and roll, right? You don't know how hard this hardcore can be until you do an elimination diet. Eating nothing but raw carrots and spinach all day is not for the faint of heart. Throughout all of this, I was also maintaining my freelance career. I couldn't fully take time off because I was realizing that rheumatoid arthritis is an expensive autoimmune disease. I don't have to tell you that the American healthcare system is broken. This is common knowledge, and one of the reasons I'm closer to becoming an expat in Europe than ever before. Europe has my heart for the obvious fact that I can eat bread and cheese there. As I was sorting out my health and making changes, I was also learning how to best reimagine my work/life/health balance. Here's what I have to share if you're wanting to get into freelancing to have a better setup as someone with a chronic illness or disability. Freelancing versus full-time jobs for chronic illness warriors. I can say with confidence that my road to recovery was paved with the privilege of not having a full-time job. Being able to work from the couch and take naps when I was tired was clutch during the early days of my illness. I was also dealing with an undiagnosed iron deficiency for months, while at the same time I had just given up coffee, so was very tired, and could barely stay awake and was exhausted just walking up the stairs. Stairs versus Amy was the major showdown in 2021. Being a freelancer also allowed me to meet virtually with my nutritionist and doctor during the week, and my team of professionals helped me diagnose and treat the root cause of the things that were hurting me. If I had a traditional full-time job, I wouldn't have had the ability to ramp down my workload or schedule and rest when I needed it. I wouldn't have been able to dip out of a normal 9 to 5 for all those virtual appointments or to drive into town to get a blood test or a refill of my prescription. A key factor in managing illness is rest. The more sleep you get, the less severe your symptoms are, and the more likely it is that you can put your disease into remission. I was able to get a ton of rest and gentle exercise, such as going on walks or doing yoga, when my body needed those things during the day. My flexible schedule allowed me to work intuitively when I had the most energy, and rest when I needed it. Changing my diet was another core part of getting my inflammatory markers down. I'm lucky that my partner Kyle was there to help cook so much great healthy food for me during those early days, and he helped take care of me when I was having flare-ups or weird symptoms. Having the time and flexibility to eat intuitively and balance my blood sugar with different foods and supplements was also key, something I couldn't have done as easily on an employer-led schedule. The emotional ups and downs of those early days of my disease were intense. I worried I'd never be able to get my symptoms under control. I felt an incredible lack of knowledge in the face of everything that could have caused my disease to flare. I regretted letting my burnout and workaholism keep me from a healthier lifestyle in the past. I was also so grateful to finally have the time to focus on my health and enforce better decisions moving forward. Another thing to remember is how freelance gives you the freedom to build a schedule that works for you in a way that full-time office jobs would not. Anyone with a chronic illness knows that the barrage of doctor appointments, blood tests, and afternoon naps required to operate at your best can sometimes be incompatible with a highly competitive in-person job. But as a freelancer, I can be a craftsman and have full control over when and how I work, so I can schedule my deep work time when I'm rested and the most productive during my day. However, I still had to make my freelance workload more manageable and less stressful. And in doing so, I accidentally doubled my income and the value I provided to clients while also working less. So how on earth do you make your freelance work more balanced and profitable with less time and energy, not more? How to make your freelance writing workflow fit your life. Earlier in 2022, I got some not-so-great news from my doctor. My blood test was showing some abnormalities that required further testing, and I was going to have to try out some different medications to see what could help with some of the symptoms I was dealing with. I took a look at my schedule for the following week. With this news in mind, I started paring back my schedule. Usually, I'm in a reach for the stars mentality, updating my portfolio, writing love letters to companies I want to write for, and jamming on drafts for clients. But when I'm processing bad news or having to start on a new medication, I have to be thoughtful about my bandwidth. So, when things are hard, consider the following. If you don't relegate all of your meetings to 2 days per week, consider moving to that schedule. That way you can spend the other 3 workdays doing deep work with rest breaks in between, or you can take a full rest day if your body needs it. If you've got a full roster of clients, consider pausing any client outreach or new client calls. If you really need a break, put a freeze on any new clients. This might feel counterintuitive, but it's important if you need rest. You need to think more long-term with a chronic condition. Audit your existing projects and clients. Are there any projects or clients that are deeply stressing you out? Can you weed out any projects that are causing you unnecessary stress and lean into the projects you love? Reducing work stress is something you have to actively manage as a freelancer with a chronic illness. You can't meditate away an insane schedule or a toxic client. You have to consistently prune your garden and keep maintaining good growth. That's how you'll see the fruits of your labor, through gentle, continuous work and maintenance. In the next chapter, we'll touch on how to build a year-long calendar of opportunities to help you stay on track as a freelancer. Amy's field notes. I do hard things. There's a pretty good chance that bad things will happen to you or those you love during your life. You might be evacuating from hurricane territory the night of a freelance deadline, or dealing with bad health news right before hopping on a client call. Sometimes you have the flexibility to reschedule a call or push a deadline. Sometimes you may not. On a call with my parents the other day, my dad shared a mantra he liked from the book Untamed by Glennon Doyle that he read. It is, we can do hard things. I love that mantra, and I think it's something you should consider putting up somewhere. I can do hard things. Doing hard things isn't about suffering a miserable existence. It's about making the hard decision now that will create a better life for you in the future. It's about putting in the effort and energy to create a life that works for you, and showing up every single day with measured, consistent effort. There are no cheat codes, no hacks. Only strategy and consistency. Meeting deadlines and turning in great work won't always be easy, which is why you'll have to learn how to reach deep within yourself to do what's needed, especially if you're having a bad day or a tough week or month. I don't always feel like hopping on a call with a client, but no matter what's going on in my life, I always show up with a smile. Why? Because I can do hard things, and so can you. I create these voiceovers using Wondercraft AI, a text-to-speech tool that speaks in your voice so you can create more podcasts, audiobooks, and voiceovers, all by just dropping in some text. Use my code SUTO50, SUTO50, or the link in the description below to get 50% off your Wondercraft AI subscription. I get a small commission if you use my code, so thanks for your support. Sending creativity and good writing vibes your way. Amy.